What is going on, guys? Kate is here and welcome back to a brand new video. So for today we're taking a closer look at Albion Online versus New World. So I have played both these games more than hundreds of hours, and probably most of you are wondering, is New World or Albion Online worth playing, and how these both the games compare against each other. So I will give you a quick overview of both MMORPGs, then I will look into how good is the solo player experience, then how the money making system works, how easy or hard is it to get into PvE or PvP, and much more. So if you're a fan of both games or can't decide which one you should play, then for sure watch this video till the end and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so first things first, let me give you a quick description for both games. So Albion Online is a sandbox MMORPG game with full loot PvP, player-driven economy, and much more. I've been playing this game for the past 4 years, and overall I would say that between 3 of my accounts, I have more than 2000 hours played. And as well, this game is available on mobile and computers. Then New World is an open world MMO game, only available right now on computer, but to be honest it basically has the same description as Albion does, but as well they have 50 versus 50 wars, a lot of questing to do, then dungeons called expeditions, and much more. And in these both games, their core system and how they work are very different, but we will go over that later. And right now, at the time of recording, from the betas I have played around 120 hours. So, usually after I give you a quick overview, I will take a look at first of all the character customization. But the starting customization for both games have basically the same system. So you can adjust your character using few basic features, and you can buy skins in New World and buy outfits in Albion Online. Both games work the same, that some skins you can earn by playing the game and some others you have to buy using IRL money. So let's take a look at the biggest differences. Albion Online has hundreds of different mounts. You can start at the beginning from tier 1 and go up to tier 8. And each tier the mount gets better, faster and better looking. Not only that, but on top of all this, there are mounts that give you extra carry weight, but are lower health and slower. And on the other hand, there are faster mounts with no carry weight, so doing different activities you have to decide what you want to trade. Speed for better protection or carry weight for more inventory space. But then as for New World mounts, frankly speaking, there aren't any yet. I say yet with a slight grain of salt because developers have never said that they won't add them. But on the other hand, they have never said that they will add them either. So the way you move around this world is by just walking, then using portals and taking advantage of the 60-minute cooldown of being able to teleport back to your main city or the housing system and the campfire system. As this is just a quick review of both games, I won't go in depth of everything, but just so you know, New World has of course efficient ways to move around the world even faster. Believe me, when I first heard about it I was worried, but playing more the game I actually now prefer having no mounts, because you can spend time enjoying the unique world, and by comparison Albion Online map is like 5 times bigger, so for New World size I definitely like having no mounts whatsoever. Then, talking about traveling, one of the most similar things about both games is the gathering system. So, I have played a bunch of MMORPGs, but gathering for both these games are on a different level. So for Albion Online you have a specific gathering gear, which you can wear to get more bonuses, and according on what and where you are gathering you will use a specific mount or even weapons. So first of all we have normal resources, which are called the flat materials, but then there are 0.1 materials, 0.2 materials and even 0.3 materials. So imagine if you could enchant a resource, and when you gather that resource you get the resource with the enchantment as well. So the best thing about Albion is that you just don't go around the world mindlessly gathering some old materials, but actually you can get lucky and stumble upon a very high tier 0.3 resource. So you always have that surprise and luck element in the game. And as for New World, it has the best sound and visual gathering effects I have ever seen. The gathering is still very fun, and especially as you progress through different gathering levels, you're able to find super rare materials which look amazing. So for example, you can just randomly come across a blue glowing tree, and as well the gathering risks are different. So in Albion you can gather in PvP territories, and in them you can get killed. But in New World, if you are not flagged, you can gather anywhere in the world you want. and if you choose so, you never have to do any PvP whatsoever. Then as well, like in Albion Online, by gathering more you can progress and get access to harvesting better materials. But the New World gathering works on 200 max level system, and you can unlock access to better gathering tools by just leveling your character. Where in Albion you have to be, for example, a tier 7 gatherer to use tier 7 gathering tools. So in conclusion, both these games' gathering aspect is very strong. Albion has more that RNG system with enchanted resources, where New World has that new player friendly gathering aspect, so you don't have to go into PvP, and by the way, all high or low materials can be found in any leveling zone, so hardcore players have incentive to come back to starter zones to gather some rare materials. And at the end, by the way, I will give you my final decision on which game is better and the one that is worth your time, so stay tuned. Then now let's go over the classless system of both games. So Albion Online, like New World, has no classes and you are what you wear. Whatever weapon you use, you level it up and then get access to higher tier gear and abilities. But where the biggest difference is in gear types and weapon levels. So in general, Albion Online has about 15 categories and each category has 7 specific weapons for that category. So for example, you can be a swords player and then choose which specific sword you want to use. Then as well, the same like in New World, Albion has only 3 gear types, which is cloth, leather and plate armor. Cloth armor gives you more damage but low health, then leather armor gives you medium damage and medium health, and then plate armor gives you high health and low damage. Then as for New World, they have as well only 3 gear types, so light armor, medium and heavy armor. So basically both these games are the same, they just have different names for their gear. But then now where the big difference comes is that New World gear only makes you stronger or weaker, where Albion gear does the same and plus give you extra abilities to use. So in New World you choose the most suitable gear for your weapon, but in Albion you choose your gear depending on the abilities that they give you. As well, lastly, the leveling system is a lot different in Albion, because each level that you get on your sword, it gives you more power and you have the access to unlock more abilities. But in New World you can only get level 20 mastery, which every mastery you get 1 point to spend for your weapon passive. So in conclusion, Albion has a lot more variety of weapons. Each gear gives more abilities, but leveling each weapon to max takes 5 times longer, where New World has only about 15 to 20 weapons, and you can pick between bunch of abilities per weapon. You don't have to use a specific spear to get a specific ability, but you just, for example, use a spear and get to choose which abilities for that spear you want to have. Okay, and now I just wanted to make it separate, but let's take a quick look at how the economy and money making works in both games. So in Albion there are 2 currencies, called silver and gold. Silver you can earn from doing every single activity in the game, and then gold is currency that you can buy using real money, or convert the silver that you earned in game and change that for silver for gold, in a place called the gold market. Like in real life, the more players buy or sell gold, the more or less silver the gold is worth. And primarily you can make very good money from killing other players and gathering, but crafting sadly is not very efficient way to make money as a new player, so I would recommend to stay away from it. But then on the other hand, in New World when you die you don't lose gear, so you can't make money off other players, but instead you can make money doing everything else, like doing faction missions, PvE missions, gathering, crafting, cooking and etc. But you have to know that in New World money is not everything. Like in Albion there is money called gold, which you can earn in game, but if you really want to, you don't have to earn money and trade with other players for profit. Because as a solo player, you can easily make your own gear and you can do missions and PvE quests which will give you enough money to buy faction gear, which is very good base level equipment. So if we are talking about economy in Albion, it is everything, and your most gameplay will be involving losing and buying gear and using silver, aka the in-game currency. But in New World, once you buy your gear you don't have to spend that much money and you can make profit on almost everything in the game. So in my opinion, New World has a bit better system, and it is more friendly for newer players. Then moving over to the next category, which is the PvP system. So in Albion, first of all, there are 2v2, 5v5 and 10v10 Hellgates that are basically small instance dungeons where you kill few mobs in between, and each Hellgate that you enter with your team you will match up against another team and you can fight them. The winner gets the loser's loot and can open the final Hellgate boss chest with more loot. And as well, there is a ranking system, so each time you kill players, you get infamy, which you can collect to get better loot drops and climb the leaderboards. And then we still have the same system for 1v1s, but it's called Corrupted Dungeons, where you enter again a small arena where you kill mobs and match up against another player, and the winner takes it all. Then lastly, Albion Online has as well ZVZs, which is basically open world PvP between 100 versus 100 players, but most of the time it's super laggy and dominated by the guild that has more players or lags out the other team. And then there's still small scale open world ganking, where you run around the world killing gatherers and players who are in a PvP zones. But then as for New World PvP system, it is a lot different. Some players may like it and some others will hate it, comparing to Albion. So first things first, every single zone can be owned by a faction, which every 24 hours can attack or defend the city. If you are a Albion Online player, imagine a city 20v20 fights just in a 5v5 GVG style. So in New World you can only play PvP against other players if you flag up and enable your PvP, so you will never be at risk to get killed if you don't want to. But at the same time, it will remove that thrill aspect and watching out on where you go. So then for PvP, like I said, you can flag up and can fight other players who are flagged but are only in a different faction. The biggest part where the game shines is the 50v50 wars, invasions and outpost rush. So these are instance PvP modes where you matchmake with random players or make a pre-made team and fight against other companies or groups. Then in a different game mode you have to defend the city from PvE mobs and much more. So I, as a mainly PvP player, enjoyed this game mechanics the most, because doing PvP in New World is fun and very rewarding, where in Albion if you die you lose all your gear, and you have to spend time re-gearing and running back to that zone. But in New World you just die, respawn and get back into fighting. And for losing or even winning each game mode you will get experience and chests, which you can open and get better gear. So in conclusion, in both these games, if you don't want to, you don't have to do PvP whatsoever. New World is more new player friendly as you don't lose the gear when you die. And still without any PvP you have access to all the locations. Where in Albion Online you can move only around no PvP areas if you don't want to participate in this type of activity. So I would say this category is your personal preference, so choose which PvP system you like the most. Okay, and as we just took a look at the PvP, now we have to go to the opposite side and go over the PvE activities in the game. So, of course, first of all, you can gather materials, which I extensively already covered, so I won't repeat the same things again. But then the biggest PvE content in Albion Online is fame farming. So when players mention fame farming in Albion, it means killing mobs for fame, aka the experience. So you can do it in expeditions, which are 5-man instant dungeons, which have maps and different difficulties for more or less fame. And then we have open world mobs where you can kill mobs all around the zones. Then maybe even kill big world bosses and go into group or solo player dungeons. And just kill mobs to level up your gear and weapons. And then on the other hand we have PvE in New World, and it's night and day difference. Where in Albion you can only kill mobs for experience, but in New World you can do quests, go do PvP missions, go into 5-man dungeons and much more. Albion doesn't have a specific character levels, but New World does, with the maximum being level 60. I won't say that New World has super fun and amazing quests and leveling progression, but comparing to Albion where you only have to kill mobs, in New World the quests will take you all around the world, with having to kill different mobs each quest, then sometimes just talk to a different NPC and much more. So in conclusion, if you like just grinding and killing mobs for experience, then Albion has you covered, or if you like questing and PvE dungeons, then New World is for you. So now we have come to the final part where I will give you my final thoughts and tell you how I really feel about both these games. So first things first, I want to make one thing clear, that for sure I didn't cover all the things you can do in both games. Both of them are just so more complicated and in-depth. So to get into New World it will be much easier and straightforward, but if you really are confused about Albion Online, then check my guides or this Albion Online review, which I posted 1 or 2 weeks ago, and it will give you more insight about the game. But then what I want to say is that no matter what, if you're a group player or solo player, both these games work the same. Where if you are in a guild you'll be able to do large scale PvP, but not counting that, in both games solo players can get max level and have access to do PvP and unlock everything the same like a group player. What at the end of the day I would suggest is to look at the game graphics and see which one you like more. And then as well consider some other factors. So for example, do you like more full loot PvP or you prefer more casual friendly game? Then do you want to kill players 24/7 or have the option to never do that activity? And lastly, can your computer run this game? Like I said at the start, I don't want to make an hour-long video covering absolutely everything about both games. So before choosing which one you want to play and after watching this video, make sure that your computer can run the game, and like I said, look in the playstyle, as both games are very similar in the core gameplay, so just choose which one you would enjoy more. But if you were just thinking that one game is more superior from the other one, then I can definitely say that it isn't. Simply putting it, Albion Online and New World offer two similar games, just in a completely different environment and package. So you definitely can't go wrong playing both or only choosing one game. If you ask me, I will be playing both these games and making tutorials and guides for both of them. So if you want to keep up to date with the latest news, the best tips and tricks, then don't forget to leave a like, subscribe and enable that notification bell. So this way you could support the channel and you won't miss any more amazing content from me. With that said, thanks for watching guys, and I will see you in my next video. So take it easy, peace.